Well, he won, didn't he? I mean, yes,
he had already won.
Happened,
we already knew who had won.
It's called political
and it was
parties.
his coronation, and you attended. You are getting ready to run for Prime Minister of Great Britain, correct?
Oh, I've been trying for years, yeah.
And as
what you need is a message of truth and a message of hope. And
well, you need money also, right?
Money's helpful, but it's not the primary thing you need.
So the first thing that came out of the chair's mouth this morning during $50 million from Elon Musk.
Well, I mean, how much?
You are familiar with that, correct?
How much did Mrs. Zuckerberg give to the Democrats? I mean, this is what happens, and people are.
Well, he didn't give any money.
Let me be clear.
To the Democrats. He was sitting behind Trump with the rest of the tech bros, and you are here today to impress all of those tech bros, including Elon Musk. Isn't that correct?
I'm going to answer your question very, very honestly.
You need money from Elon Musk in order to get elected Prime Minister of Great Britain. That's the bottom line. Isn't that correct?
We consider all day, as long as the chairman allows us. I don't mind. I had a very public falling out with Elon Musk.
But you're still trying to get some money from him, though.
Over a political issue.
It's not about the prior disputes.
I'm sorry,
you're trying to ingratiate yourself with the tech bros by coming over here and trying to.
Can I get a cup of coffee or something?
And you're arguing.
Be here a long time.
What you're arguing is that the citizens of Great Britain should pay a tariff if these tech companies are not allowed to violate the laws of Great Britain.
No, I'm not. That was a falsehood put out by the British Prime Minister today.
You didn't say in your
Prime Minister's questions. I have never.
In your statement.
I have never suggested any of the kind.
You don't call
My statement
for tariffs
is very clear.
As tools to
My
force
statement is
Great
very
Britain.
clear. My statement is very.
You are not calling.
It might surprise you.
You are not
Mr.
calling
Johnson.
for.
It might surprise you to know
tariffs and trade sanctions.
Trade. You may not.
The hearing room carried a charge the moment Nigel Farage stepped inside. The air seemed to tighten, as though everyone present knew they were about to witness something less like a polite exchange of views and more like a showdown. Cameras whirred, staffers leaned forward, and across the table sat Representative Hank Johnson, a stack of papers spread neatly before him like weapons laid out on a battlefield. Johnson's opening tone carried the polite formality expected in Washington, but his eyes betrayed something sharper. This was no courtesy call, no diplomatic handshake. From the start, it was clear he had come prepared to corner Farage. The room wasn't going to host a discussion. It was about to stage an ambush.
I thoroughly enjoyed them. I've even spoken to them.
You endorsed him for president, and you attended his election night watch party.
I did.
And you consider Trump to be your mentor, correct?
No.
He's not your mentor?
No.
But he is somebody who you want the support of. And you have the support.
Yes, I do. I think he's a very, very brave man.
Because you are getting ready to run for Prime Minister of Great Britain, correct?
Oh, I've been trying for years, yeah.
And as it stands right now, you head up a party. How many seats in the Parliament are there?
Johnson wasted no time drawing the line. He began with Farage's repeated trips to the United States, each one tied to moments that carried political weight. Milwaukee, 2024, the Republican National Convention, where Trump supporters filled arenas and the air thickened with chants of victory. Johnson's words weren't simply questions, they were reminders, carefully chosen to frame Farage's presence in America as something more than casual visits. But Farage, seasoned in both hostility and spectacle, didn't waver. He met the insinuation head-on, answering plainly, almost proudly. Yes, he had been in Milwaukee. Yes, he had attended Trump's rallies. To him, they weren't stains on his record. They were memories of political theatre, celebrations of triumph, moments he described as joyous.
And you also attended Trump rallies, correct?
I've attended lots of Trump rallies.
Make America Great Again rallies,
yes.
many of them. And you
upbeat, optimistic, happy, wonderful, joyous events.
Publicly endorsed his...
I thoroughly enjoyed them. I've even spoken to them.
You endorsed him for president, and you attended his election night watch party.
I did.
And you could.
The clash of perception was immediate. Johnson spoke as if Farage's attendance was proof of loyalty to Trump. Farage presented it as nothing more than history, as though he were a witness documenting events rather than a disciple pledging allegiance. Two men locked across the table, each certain he was the one controlling the story. Johnson decided to sharpen his attack. He leaned forward, narrowing the distance across the table, and dropped a word designed to cut deeper than any statistic or date. Mentor. Was Donald Trump his mentor?
Consider Trump to be your mentor, correct?
No.
He's not your mentor?
No.
But he is somebody who you want the support of, and you have the support.
Yes, I do. I think he's a very, very brave man.
Because you are getting ready to run for Prime Minister of Great Britain, correct?
Oh, I've been trying for years, yeah.
And as it stands...
The word carried weight, echoing through the chamber like a loaded accusation. It wasn't just a question of friendship or political alliance, it was an attempt to brand Farage as subordinate, a student in Trump's shadow, rather than a leader in his own right. Johnson framed it as though the answer could expose everything, a hidden allegiance laid bare with one admission. Farage didn't hesitate. His answer was clipped, decisive, almost surgical. No, Trump was not his mentor. His tone left no room for misinterpretation, slicing through the tension with a sharpness that silenced murmurs for a moment. The refusal wasn't just about denying influence, it was about asserting independence. But Johnson wasn't letting go. He circled back, pressing harder, twisting the narrative. He suggested that Farage owed his survival to Trump, that his political strength wasn't built on his own shoulders, but borrowed from the American figure he admired. It was an attempt to strip Farage of his authority, to show him as a man dependent on borrowed power.
And right now, you head up a party. How many seats in the parliament are there?
651, if you include the speaker, that is.
650.
Yes.
And how many are a part? How many seats does your party hold?
How many seats do the opinion polls say we're going to get next time? Is that your
No,
question?
I mean,
I
the
see.
numbers don't lie. You only have 4 seats, right?
I'm afraid so, yes.
And so you are indeed the leader of a fringe party.
Oh, I'm a fringe, all right. Don't worry about that. Yes, absolutely. Everything I've ever done.
Farage countered with defiance. He refused to be painted as anyone's follower. Trump, he argued, wasn't a master to be obeyed, but a figure he respected for his defiance, for his willingness to fight against overwhelming odds. Respect, not submission, that was the line Farage drew. The room felt like a theatre now, each exchange raising the stakes. Johnson tried to pull Farage into the role of a follower. Farage fought to prove he stood alone, his voice carrying the steady conviction of a man who would not wear the label his opponent tried to pin on him. Sensing the mentor angle wasn't landing the way he hoped, Johnson shifted his strategy. He turned from personality to numbers, aiming directly at Farage's political base. His question cut with precision. How many seats does your party even hold? The chamber stiffened. It was the kind of question designed to wound, because the answer was already known. Farage didn't dodge it, he answered plainly. 4. Just 4 seats in a parliament of 650. Johnson pounced. His voice dripped with disdain as he spun the number into a narrative of irrelevance. To him, Farage was nothing more than a fringe figure, a man shouting from the margins of politics, leading a party that barely registered on the scale of power. Every word was chosen to shrink him down in front of the cameras, to remind the audience that in the grand scheme, Nigel Farage was a minor player.
It's a fringe party leader seeking to run for Prime Minister of Great Britain. You need a lot of money in order to blow up like the MAGA movement has blown up.
What you need is a message of truth and a message of hope. And
well, you need money also, right?
Money's helpful, but it's not the primary thing you need.
So the first thing that came out of...
But Farage leaned into it, almost relishing the attack. A faint smile tugged at his face as he reframed the so-called weakness into a weapon of his own. Yes, his party was small. Yes, they had only 4 seats. But he had built his career on the outside, fighting from the edges where others dared not stand. To him, being fringe wasn't shame, it was proof of authenticity, a badge of honor earned in the grind of opposition. The confrontation had evolved. It wasn't about arithmetic anymore. It was about symbolism. Johnson sought to reduce Farage to a statistic. Farage turned that statistic into a declaration of defiance, showing himself as the man who thrived precisely because he never played by the system's rules. Just as the clash seemed to settle into a rhythm, Johnson pulled a new weapon from his arsenal, a name that carried weight far beyond politics: Elon Musk.
The first thing that came out of the chair's mouth this morning during his opening statement had to do with Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And you're carrying water for Elon Musk today, aren't you?
From what I can see, Elon Musk is abusive about me virtually every single week. But it's a free country, so
but you
he's
never
entitled
stop
to do that.
trying to ingratiate yourself
Wrong.
with him.
Wrong.
Well, I mean,
No,
and
wrong.
you are familiar with the fact.
wrong. I have-
You are familiar with the
I've had
fact,
public-
Mr. Farage,
I have had a
that
public fallout with Elon Musk.
that Donald Trump's campaign benefited to the extent of $250 million
If you
from
wanna-
Elon Musk.
How much?
You are familiar with that,
How much
correct?
did Mr. Zuckerberg give to the Democrats? I mean, this is what happens, and people are.
Well, he didn't give any money
On Musk,
to, the
let me be clear.
to the
I have
Democrats.
had.
He was sitting behind
I have had.
Trump with the rest of the tech bros,
I am
and you are
going-
here today
I'm going to answer
to
your
impress
question.
all of those tech bros, including
going as
Elon
long as
Musk.
you
Isn't
want.
that correct?
I'm going to answer your question very, very honestly.
You need money from Elon Musk in order to
I
get
have.
elected Prime Minister of Great Britain. That's the bottom line.
We
Isn't
consider,
that correct?
We consider all day, as long as the chairman allows us. I don't mind. I had a very public falling out with Elon Musk.
But you're still trying to get some money
Over.
from him, though.
over a
You're
political
still,
issue.
it's not about the
And
prior
I'm
disputes.
sorry,
You're
it was
trying to.
The mention landed like a spark on dry tinder. Johnson painted an image of Farage not as a statesman, but as a traveller crossing the Atlantic to curry favour with billionaires. He wove a picture of Trump's campaign coffers swelling with $250 million, 0 cents, Musk looming in the background, and Farage manoeuvring desperately to secure his slice of that support. The implication was clear. Farage wasn't here for diplomacy, he was here for money and influence. It was a damning suggestion, one crafted to sting in front of the cameras. Musk's name alone turned the line of questioning into a spectacle, transforming a parliamentary clash into a headline moment. Was Farage courting Silicon Valley elites? Was he seeking validation not from voters, but from tech titans in hoodies and boardrooms? Farage pushed back immediately, his voice firm, his posture bristling. He reminded the room that his history with Musk was far from friendly. In fact, he had clashed publicly with the billionaire, suffering Musk's insults week after week in the open. If Johnson was trying to paint him as Musk's ally, Farage was determined to show the opposite, that he couldn't be bought, that he had no interest in bowing to the whims of a billionaire. The room stirred. Whispers cut through the air as members and spectators tried to pass the irony. Johnson insisted Farage was chasing the billionaire's approval. Farage insisted Musk mocked him openly. The contrast was stark, and the atmosphere buzzed with tension. Johnson wasn't finished. If Musk alone couldn't pin Farage down, he would broaden the attack. He painted a larger picture. Farage chasing after the entire Silicon Valley circle. A pack of tech bros who treated politics like a playground. To Johnson, Farage wasn't in America for diplomacy or policy. He was there for validation, for approval from billionaires in sneakers and hoodies, the kind who measured power in stock options and venture capital. The accusation was sharp, and it carried an insult that went deeper than money. It suggested Farage was bending himself, shaping his image to please men who held no loyalty to nations, only to profit. Johnson framed him as a politician not rooted in people, but in the wallets of the elite. Farage bristled. His irritation showed now, his answers cutting back with force. He denied it outright. He wasn't here to grovel for tech money, nor was he any man's mouthpiece. His voice rose as Johnson tried to twist the knife further, shifting the discussion toward trade. The congressman accused Farage of supporting tariffs on US technology companies, of scheming to punish the very industries he was supposedly courting. The chamber tensed as the words hung in the air. Tariffs meant real consequences, jobs, markets, alliances. Johnson's framing was brutal. Farage wasn't just chasing approval, he was also threatening America's economy. Farage snapped back, his rebuttal fast and forceful. That claim, he said, was false. He had never called for sanctions, never proposed punishing US companies. The real issue, he argued, wasn't tariffs, it was Britain's own Online Safety Act, a law that could choke open trade between allies and restrict freedoms under the guise of regulation. The two narratives collided. Johnson's portrait was of a man bowing to billionaires. Farage's defense was of a politician standing against censorship and defending the free flow of trade. The clash had left the room vibrating, each side trying to control the story for the cameras. At last, the chairman stepped in, his voice cutting through the noise. Johnson's time had expired, but the moment wasn't over. All eyes turned to Farage, who was granted one last window, just 30 seconds, to respond to what had felt like an unrelenting barrage. He didn't waste a second. Farage went straight to the heart of Johnson's attack, reminding the chamber that he had no cozy alliance with Elon Musk. Quite the opposite. He had endured Musk's insults week after week, often in full view of the public. If Johnson wanted to frame him as Musk's puppet, the facts told a different story. Musk mocked him, ridiculed him, and yet Farage stood firm. That, he argued, was the price of free speech, and it was a price he was willing to pay. Then he pivoted, his tone shifting from defensive to defiant. The real danger, he declared, wasn't in imaginary ties to billionaires, but in the creeping power of laws like the Online Safety Act. These weren't harmless regulations. They were threats to free expression and open trade between Britain and America, two nations that had built their relationship on trust, commerce, and shared values. His words rang with finality, the tone of a man who refused to be cornered. Johnson had tried to reduce him to a pawn, a follower, a fringe figure, begging for validation. But Farage left the room sounding like something else entirely. A politician determined to stand alone, even if it meant standing on the edge, unbought, unbowed, and unwilling